What you are about to hear is highly classified. Pay attention and listen at all times. And most importantly, remember, when you leave the liquor cabinet unlocked, apparently every Zone 4 cast member except for me finds it. I don't need it. I'm naturally crazy. Ladies and gentlemen, you are now entering Zone 4. And welcome back to The Zone. I'm Brant.
I'm Chris.
I'm Jay.
And I'm Gordon.
And this is episode 403 of your favorite comics podcast. I know it's your favorite just because, because it's Zone 4. Why wouldn't it be? We're not comics.
Yeah, and there's no other podcasts out there. We are the only comics podcast. That's why we're your favorite.
That's right.
Especially in the zone.
Yeah, especially. We're in the zone, man. Come on, how closer to the beat of the comics industry can you get? Instead of in the zone, we're in the zone.
And there's so much intellectual chat that goes along with this podcast. I mean, come on.
Yeah, there's a lot of intellectualism in this podcast.
Yeah, it's saved for the chat. It's saved for the actual podcast. It's not saved for the pre-show.
Hey, this pre-show was actually very mild, and that's because I'm sick, so...
Yeah, and for those of you who think, hey, what did you miss from the pre-show? The only thing you need to remember is that Microsoft is run by bastards.
There you go.
Which is still better than the Mac people. They have no soul.
Yeah.
They're the Deadites from Army of Darkness. Swallow your soul, swallow your soul.
I tell you, that's the key message from Paper Girls. Mac is evil.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, did you guys see they're releasing a hardcover of that in January? The first 10 issues, like the first 2 trades in a hardcover.
That's cool though.
I'm probably gonna get that since I missed out on the first 2 trades right away.
That's a good series. I
yeah.
Highly recommend it, yeah. And just for the record, we all know you're sick, Chris.
I know, but they don't.
No.
I think he means sick in the head. Like, not all
No,
their...
the viewers know that. They know that part. They don't know that I'm legit sick.
I don't think he was talking about being ill.
No. We now know that you're ill.
Yes, I am sick. I've been sick in the head since the day I was born.
On that note, we are proud members of the Comics Podcast.
You really want to lead into that with the same? Okay, fine. Go ahead.
Where apparently we're the only comics podcast on there. No, you'll find a plethora of podcasts over on there for any topic that you can think of, mostly comic related, but you're still in the zone with us. So check us out each and every episode over on comicspodcasts.com. So that was a thing.
Yep, that was a thing.
That was a thing.
That was for a moment.
Oh, a thing for a moment.
Thing,
Not the thing, no.
No, because he's the ever-loving Blue Eye thing, and he's over in New York right now.
That's right.
Yeah, or like last week on Legends of Tomorrow, Nate Haywood was stoned out of his mind and flying a spaceship. That was the thing.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that was definitely a thing.
Many things.
So let's talk about some more things because it's time for some comic book headlines.
Yeah.
Comic book headlines.
And here was a thing.
The topic of today's show is thing.
Stranger Things.
Zone 4.
Do your thing.
I have so many posters from Stranger Things 2, Season 2, from Previews Magazine, all the way through to my comic orders from DCBS. I think I'm Stranger Things 2 out.
I'm not. I love that.
Never enough of it.
Oh, there's no, but that's true.
And I just want to go back to what Gordon said. Thank you, Gordon. Not many people know that.
What did you say, Gordon? I missed it.
I said, thing, ring, do your thing.
Oh, come on. How could you not know that cartoon?
There's a lot of people who don't.
That is sad. That's not even scary. That's just sad.
Yeah, Brent, you've got got to. I think we need to make Chris the new lead of Zone 4, because how do you not know Thing Ring? Do your thing, Brant. Shame on you, Brant. Shame on you.
You're from my era too, Brant. You should.
I didn't say I didn't know it.
He didn't say he didn't know it. He didn't hear what Jay said. He didn't hear what you said.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't hear you say you didn't hear it, but when Gordon said you didn't know it, that's why I was like, oh, maybe I misheard. Like maybe I didn't hear him, but he said it.
No, I think Brant knows what that. You know what that is, right, Brant?
Do I know what it is?
Yes.
It's from the Thing.
Yes.
Barbera.
Okay, good. Okay.
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
I know who I am.
Oh, don't make me laugh. It hurts.
It's gonna make Jay's cheeks hurt again.
And for our listeners, just a reminder, none of us have been anywhere near the state of Colorado. That's all we're saying.
Oh, it is legal there. Anyway. Wow. Okay. Circling back around. Runaways trailer. Actually, there's been a new one since this one, but anyway. We talked little bit about this on Frontline Live, so we don't have to spend a whole lot of time with this, but it's more cool stuff. We talked about Runaways last episode, the episode before, maybe too. So we're all excited for it, and these trailers that they keep releasing is just making me more and more excited. We've gotten to see Old Lace now. We've gotten to see the team shot of the five or six of them.
We got a teaser of the dinosaur.
Yeah, we've got James Masters with a bad dye job.
Oh man, James Masters.
Does he ever have a good dye job?
No.
I mean,
Good.
The sad thing is he looks old in those trailers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he does, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he's not aging well, is what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah, he's not. Okay. He's like I am aging well. I mean, I'm still, I am still the pinnacle of manliness and sexiness and just raw masculinity than I was when I was in my 20s. And I'm not that old either. I'm only 39.
Okay. Really? No, you're not. Wait a minute.
Wow, Brant, the sarcasm is just flying tonight.
Brant, I have been 39 for the last 15 years. Don't start with me. Do not start with me.
It's his 16th. It's his 15th anniversary of his 39th birthday.
There you go.
Okay. I was like, wait a minute. I had to think about how old I was. I was like, wait a minute. That doesn't.
It's my 30th anniversary of my 1-year birthday.
I believe.
Anyone would believe that.
To be fair, James Marsters, I just looked it up. James Marsters is actually 55, which still he looks older than he should.
Ooh, that's not good.
Yeah, no.
And he's still doing the bleach job with his hair? Jeez.
I think he's so known for that, because his dark hair is his natural hair, and people just don't know him. It's not been a long time since
Did he bleach his hair for Smallville? Yeah, he did. He had blonde hair in Smallville.
No, he had dark hair.
He had it brown.
No, he did have the brown. That's right. He looked so weird on Smallville.
Yeah, at first I didn't realize who it was. Because it was the first one.
Well, Chris, James Marsters just looks weird, period.
Well, if you keep it up with the Buffy comics, Buffy and Spike are actually a thing now.
No, I don't, but whatever.
A lot of people were upset, and when Angel found out, he was very upset as well.
That doesn't really surprise me.
But Angel has a thing for Fred, or whatever is possessing Fred. I keep forgetting the name of that demon's name. Whatever's possessed Fred, they have a thing.
It's Fred. Now. Fred the demon.
There you go. Jay would know the name, but he's not going to say it until I ask him. Jay, what's the name of the demon that possesses Fred?
I can't think of it right now. I was just trying to think of the name of it, and I can't.
If I'm remembering correctly, Fred is a
girl.
Is a girl.
Amy Acker, is that right?
I think so.
Actress. That she's in The Gifted. She's the mom in The Gifted.
Yeah. Yeah, that's her.
Speaking of Marvel Television,
Going back, we made a full loop around again.
Yeah. This isn't really a story, but it is kind of interesting. If you're, obviously, if you're a fan of Runaways, you're probably a fan of Brian K. Vaughan because he wrote Runaways. And I thought it was kind of interesting to learn what kind of involvement he had with the show, which was basically a consultant. But
he didn't want to be there, from what I read. He kind of wanted to let them do their own thing.
Yeah, but they said he visited for a day and stayed for a month. So he was kind of pretty much involved and pitching things at the table and all that kind of stuff. So,
Brent,
yeah.
I'd like to just chime in because I actually years ago I used to be an extra at movies. I think the reason why Brian K. Vaughan has stuck around, craft services, the food is excellent. I mean, I remember they had these nice little like dark rye bagel sandwiches with cucumber and cream cheese that were just yummy. So
Jeez,
I
want to be an extra.
Yeah, I mean, that's the great thing. You get paid for your time and great food. So, just offering that.
Chris just wants to be an extra to eat craft services. Wow. Okay. But I've heard good things about craft
movies
services.
Also. I mean, come on. It's like literally.
Hey, I worked with De Niro in Midnight Run. I'm actually on screen with Robert De Niro. You see the side of my arm. So for all those who are listening, go. You're watching. You'll see a scene with Robert De Niro and Charles Grodin. They're talking back and forth on a train, and you'll see like an arm on the right side of the screen. It's like in like a bluish gray. The scene ends with like Grodin haggling, scolding De Niro for not leaving a tip. That blue grays that arm is mine. I got to watch Robert De Niro drink a beer at 5 a.m. on a train coming from Wisconsin back to Chicago while they were filming. So, yeah. I've worked with De Niro. Do not mess with me.
I was a non-paid extra. They used to film a lot on the boardwalk for Law & Order. I got to watch a couple of really cool scenes from Law & Order. Men in Black 2 when they were in, Coney Island. And there was another scene with Sandra Bullock, and she was in the center. I forgot what movie it was called, but they remade the place to look like a mattress sales place. I don't know what movie it was in, but I wasn't an extra in that. I just watched them film it. I didn't get any food either. Bastards.
I think only if you get paid, you get the.
I didn't want to get paid. I wanted the food.
Yeah.
You gotta get paid to get the food.
I don't care.
No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't.
Shh, don't say that to Chris. He'll just be showing up on sets.
Damn right I will.
I mean, it's New York. They film there all the time.
I know. He's going to be going to Gotham. He's going to go to the Gotham set next and just sit out there and wait for food now.
Ew, no, I don't even... No, I'll shop my food with Gotham. Ugh. Okay.
Well,
you know the show is going downhill when they introduce Professor Pig as a villain.
And they recast Poison Ivy.
And they recast Poison Ivy. Forget about it. That show is Professor Pig.
So the clue that Batman's that Bruce is basically essentially Batman wasn't a clue that went downhill.
It all goes downhill when it's Gotham related.
Oh, yeah, it sounds like Gotham really needs a makeover.
Speaking of makeovers, that's a nice segue. X-Men Blue Team is getting a makeover after this, oh my goodness, I do not want to read it, awful crossover with Poisons.
Poison X.
Poison X. The X-Men Blue Team teaming up with Venom to take on these throwaway villains from Venomverse.
Can I also make mention that this happens directly after the crossover with Amazing Spider-Man for Venom Inc. So we're going from Venom Inc. directly into Poison X.
And and X-Men are in a crossover right now. So
and Poisons are in, and the Poisons are already in Monsters Unleashed.
Oh, of course they are.
Okay. I all I have to say is I love putting a little Poison X on a rash after I get poison ivy. It's very soothing.
Nice combo there.
So the interesting thing about this is, though, that we are going to see a shakeup with the time displaced X-Men, and we don't know what that shakeup's going to be. And there's speculation: does it involve the adult Jean Grey? Is it going to become basically Uncanny X-Men? What's going to happen to it?
Well, none of them are going to leave the team, I don't think. Anyway, I mean, the last time they went into space, Cyclops found his dad and stayed in space and had his own series for like half a year. So, and that didn't work out so well. So I don't think they'll try for a repeat performance with another X-Man, right?
I think what they're going to do is they're going to create a theme song, and then they'll release a book where when you open it, it's the '90s theme, the X-Men theme. The da 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 da.
Best theme song.
I get a bad feeling this involves Beast somehow with the shakeup.
Well, no, I don't think so. I don't think it will involve Beast. I can see them. Maybe it gives me hope that my theory is correct, that they're going to do the original X-Men are going to come back, the original 5. Not the young versions of them, but the current day version, and replace it. But it'll probably be something stupid like they'll add another member to it. It'll be the big shakeup, because they have Storm, they have Wolverine, I should say.
They have a Storm then, because that's Bloodstorm.
Yeah, they have a Storm, they have a Wolverine, and watch them get a Nightcrawler or a Colossus.
Well, technically they have a Nightcrawler, Bamf, the little Bamf.
Oh yeah, Pickles.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So maybe a Colossus, because I see them like trying to form the giant size X-Men team on there. Because if you look at it, that's what they're doing. You have the Otherworld, Wolverine. You have the Otherworld, Bloodstorm. So now they're going to give you another world, something else. That's probably what they're going to do, and it's going to be something like that. It will probably even be a homage to that cover. The cover of that issue will probably be an homage to that cover with, like Bloodstorm and Pickles and.
Oh my God, Pickle! I can't take that seriously.
Jimmy Hudson. It'll be like all of them coming at you just like it. So, or maybe it'll be another world, Banshee or something. They'll give you some other form of that, or a couple of them. Whoever's missing out of the group, they'll put them all in there, and then it'll be the giant size X-Men Blue. Watch.
Yeah, but don't knock Pickle, okay? I mean, Bamf Pickle on rye with a little mustard is wonderful.
I concur.
Indubitably.
I mean, it's a kind of book
conversation with sandwiches and pickles.
Yeah, it's the kind of intellectualism.
So if you're enjoying this intellectual talk, let's keep going and talk about some political intellectualism, shall we?
How can you say... Wait. With the topic, how can you put the word...
oxymoron?
I know.
How can you put intellectual with the first word of this topic?
Not the first word, but maybe the third word of this 3-word topic.
I was just saying, like, there's
no intellectual. Yeah, there's nothing in the first, but no. I mean, I wish God would hit him with an intellectual stick, but I mean, that's beside the point. And we just lost 20 listeners because of when they find out what the first word is, they're going to be like,
they don't even know what we're talking about at this point. So we haven't lost anything.
We haven't lost anybody yet. Wait for Brent to say the title.
So, all right. First of all, let me state that this is a Bleeding Cool article. So take it for what it is.
Blame Rich Johnston for this one. Blame Rich Johnston.
Right.
The actual title of the article is DC turning Aquaman into a #resist versus Trump comic in November.
And all the Trump supporters just turned this cast off.
Hey, we didn't say. Well, you did.
No, Jay started and I agreed with him. So I don't make me stand alone on this.
Okay, both of you said stuff.
Okay,
but,
I just said he's not intelligent. That's all.
You just said he wasn't part of intellectual conversation.
It's not. You ever see his tweets?
I agree. I don't know what Brand's talking about, but I mean,
just read a tweet from him and you can tell he's not intelligent.
I was just saying I hadn't said anything yet. That's what I was saying.
Yeah. Okay.
In other words, don't send any hate to Brand. Send it to me and Chris.
Out of respect, let's let Brant continue, and then we can engage in the political bashing. Okay.
Indeed.
Okay, so basically, the story going on in Aquaman right now, for anybody who hasn't been reading it, is basically, I forget his name, is it Cullen Wrath or something like that? Has taken over as King of Atlantis. Correct me if I'm wrong on that name. King Wrath. We'll just call him King Wrath. And they're claiming that it's like an allegory because he raised this magical wall around Atlantis where nobody can get in or out.
Oh, God. Okay.
Yeah, and go ahead, Jay. I think you were going to say something.
All right, that wasn't me. That was Chris who.
That was me just saying, "Oh my God."
Oh, I heard you say that. I thought I heard you say something too.
Nope.
Sorry. And
I love how he's putting us together now, Jay. So make sure that both of us get it.
Chris, you're the new cat. Anyway, so and he's kind of a dictatorial kind of king, and and Arthur is fighting back from the bottom. He's in the slums of Atlantis with all the outcasts and all that stuff, and he's trying to find a way to fight back and everything. And now the new arc, or the new actually it's the conclusion of the arc, I believe. The title on the cover says "Resist," and that's kind of what they're going for. And it's Dolphin confronts Aquaman with the horrifying truth of King Wrath's new regime. All hope for Atlantis is nearly lost. With an emotional reunion with Vulko gives Arthur a renewed sense of purpose. And that's kind of what's going on. So they're just kind of making a comparison between Wrath and Trump and Aquaman.
It's very loose. It's very loose.
It is very loose.
Does he have a hairpiece?
No. If you're reading it, it's nothing that you like. If you're just reading it, you don't really see it. But when someone points out the things to you like that, there's a wall, and he's against impure people and Atlantis and all that, then it comes at you like that it could be an allegory for it. But on its own, it doesn't read that way. It's not like Savage Dragon where they pound you over the head with it.
Yeah.
This is just
it's not like Trump grows gills, goes in and starts beating up on Aquaman.
Yeah, he doesn't have
although I would pay to read a comic in which Aquaman beat the crap out of Donald Trump. I would pay to read that comic.
Well, it's not like the new
comic. There are comics. There are a lot of books coming out. I see them in previews all the time where Donald Trump is the star.
A lot of indies doing it.
Yes.
Well, I mean, a lot of DC comics they've been, and they've showed clips in this article where they kind of
we're artists. It's mainly the artists are throwing in little jabs, don't make it look like Donald Trump, or and unless this king winds up with a bad octopus hairpiece on him, no, I don't really see the connection there. It probably is an allegory for it, but it's one that is very true to the comic. It's not like they're stepping out of the comic and making a political statement.
Yeah,
they're using
straws.
They're already using things that have happened in the comic for the last couple of years. Because I forget his name too, Brent. He's been in the comic book before. He was in there from New 52. So he's been in it. So it's not like they just created this character to be that allegory. So I'm okay with it. I don't think it's really anything.
Yeah, and like you said, I think if there is an allegory, it's very subtle. And it's just kind of playing on, what's going on around us. It's night and day with Nick Spencer stuff over at Marvel, the Captain America stuff and everything. Right. I think that stuff is very in your face and kind of here's my political leanings. I'm going to talk about it in this comic.
It's weird, but First of all, I want to agree with you and Jay. You with the fact that other comics like Savage Dragon are putting it right out in front. Here's Donald. We are using Donald Trump, but in Aquaman's case, I feel like people are just grasping at straws. Saying, "Oh, it is," but it really isn't. I'm sure the writer might have a small influence, like from what's going on around him, but at the same time, I don't think it's specifically based on Trump. Now what? I lost what else I was going to say, though, because I went back and I did that first. Shoot. I should have said my main topic first. Oh, well. But no, I agree with you and Jay with the whole thing. You got comics that are legit throwing Trump in front, using his likeness and his words, and then you got comics that are just, they're with Aquaman right now, like Jay said, it's something that's already going on. Oh, now I remember. With DC, their political views in their comics are very subtle and very, they're just they're in there, but they're not in your face. With Marvel's very politically, they have a lot of their political views right out in front. And I don't know why, but you could see it in a lot of their books also.
Yeah, I agree.
That's all I was going to say.
Okay. Anything else to add, Gordon?
No, I mean, I'm in agreement with everyone. I think that from the art that was presented in the article, I don't think it's over the head. Oh yes, this is Trump. I think it's more like, hey, this looks familiar. Hey, it's kind of like what's going on. I don't think it's as blatant as the article would have you. But then again, what do you expect from Bleeding Cool?
I was going to say that too. It's true.
They're just trumping out controversy just for the hell of it,
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Just,
no pun intended, right?
Maybe a little.
All right. So, speaking of Trump, Doomsday Clock.
Wow, the pun. Brent was waiting for that time.
There you go. Brent made his.
Now everybody gets hit.
Now he didn't have a jab.
Said yet, so Doomsday Clock trailer is coming to a theater near you. I think it's kind of cool that this is going to be playing in theaters, and I thought it was a nice little subtle kind of teaser video there. I like that they're doing this kind of stuff more. That it's it's not too comic-y, but it's like, okay, this is something you might recognize. Here's what we're pushing right now. I don't know. I think it's cool. It's going to be in theaters.
I think it's huge. I think it's really great that they're doing this. I saw the trailer. I thought it was amazing. No,
Chris, is it huge?
It's huge. It's huge. We're gonna get some money. We're gonna build a wall around it to make sure it stays safe because it's that huge.
I'm sorry when you said that. I couldn't get that out of my head. I just pictured Chris going, "It's huge.
We're gonna make it huge. It's gonna be amazing."
Yeah, it's kind of like Stoner Flash, Oh, dude, yeah, it's going to be huge. Amber and Dustin are going to be like the Event Horizon dude.
I think it's great, though, for the comic because, this is a big event for DC. This is the first time you got Watchmen, being injected into the DC universe. This big thing that's been building up, as DC says, since the beginning of the New 52 through Rebirth, and now Rebirth is leading into this big, huge event that they've never done before. Interesting. Yeah. And I think
you can't say it's something that they've never done before because they've done it before.
No, I mean, with the Watchmen, they've done the. You're right. I should have specified. They've done Crises before.
They just never
the
included.
Plural is crises.
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 That's some intellectualism for you.
Yeah, Chris will still say crisis.
Did Chris just hang up?
I did not hang up. What? Yeah, I hung up. Yeah, my intellectualness is just too good for you guys. Click.
For those of you who are listening, yes, this is our usual episode. You did not catch us on a bad night. This is what we usually do.
This is what we usually do.
We talk about crises, we make fun of huge, and we talk about trailers.
This is why we're your favorite.
I like the idea for the trailer. They did it with Rebirth, and they did it with I think the New 52 too.
They did do it with New 52.
I think it's great because you have people who go to the movies who never buy a comic book, So this is getting it to people who maybe not go, who doesn't know about comic books. But again, comic books are all in the movie theaters now. So you have people who are looking at this and saying, okay, I just saw a Batman movie and this trailer says that Batman, is in there. So let me go do it, I just, not the Batman movie, Justice League movie. I just saw the Justice League movie, and this trailer says that Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are part of the story. Let me go check that out. And they might watch the Watchmen and be like, oh, it's going to continue their story, So I think it's a great thing for this, and I think DC is doing a good job for their promos for the Doomsday Clock, but I think they could get a little bit more because right now I don't think we really know what's coming out of the Doomsday Clock. Like,
I don't know what to expect.
Yeah, they're keeping a lot of it to the vest, and that could both work against and for them, though, because it has us talking about it, so it's obviously working for them in that respect. But the lack of information can also hurt them because people are like, I don't know how much I need to read this if if I'm not into the Watchmen. So,
but think about. Well, for Watchmen, yes, but think about this. You know that as comic readers, we know something big's going to happen if they're keeping it so close to
I mean someone who's like not.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, they'll be like, well, what if.
I don't mean for like the avid comic book fan because they're going to read. We're going to read it no matter what, because it's a big event. We know that it's coming. So avid comic readers are going to read it. But I mean like the casual comic reader or a newbie to comic. They may not know anything about it, and they may not get it because there's not enough information, So
agreed.
It could work against them, but I think right now it's going to be working for them because it's building the mystique up about it, especially with the image of that clock.
I'll tell you what worked for them with me as a Watchmen fan. Now, everybody knows at the end of Watchmen, and if you didn't read Watchmen, skip over what I'm about to say, but everybody knows at the end of Watchmen, spoiler alert, last time I'm warning you guys, Rorschach was killed by Dr. Manhattan. You go and you look at the preview pages for the first book of Doomsday Clock, and who's alive and well in the DC universe? Rorschach. What?
Okay. First of all, there has to be.
Well, I will say we may not know that it's the same Rorschach. It could be the guy at the end of Watchmen who spilled ketchup on his thing about ready to get the journal. He could have lost weight and be dressed up.
He would do the whole Christopher Reeve thing, like I was working out.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
There's your intellectualism for you.
Yeah, I was just going to say that there has to be a statute of limitations on when we can stop saying spoiler alert. If it came out 30 years ago,
but maybe somebody who sees the trailer and hears us talking about it who didn't read Watchmen.
But like Brant said, that's like it's been out for a long time now, Chris. If they haven't read it, then why are you going to read Doomsday Clock?
That's true.
Yeah, there's a difference between.
He doesn't catch the whale.
Yeah, like if Brant had knew about the script of Doomsday Clock and said, "Hey, here's the plot of Doomsday Clock," because it's not out yet. Yeah, spoiler alert. But something that's been released for 30 years is fair game.
Yeah,
and anyone who says, "Oh, you just spoil," a friend of mine was reading like 100-year. Like a Dickens novel, and his mother complained that, "Oh, you just spoiled this Dickens novel." He's like, come on, Mom, it's 100 years old. Boo, hiss, bad, Mom. Get over it. It's Charles Dickens.
Now, the one thing that Chris did say that was a spoiler was the reveal from the ash can. It's the first 6 pages of the first issue. They released as an ash can for New York Comic Con, I believe it was.
Yes.
And that showed that Rorschach was still alive. And again, we never actually saw him die.
That's true. He was just evaporated.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's also what happened to Pandora in the New 52.
Pandora, that other Metron and Night Owl.
Pandora in the New 52, her death, or her quote unquote death scene was exactly like Rorschachs. It was the symbolism of that. That's why they did it. So, so we never know that he's actually dead. Like, he could have been transported into Oz's prison, where Oz kept Tim. That could have been all from that. So
that's true, because everybody thought Tim died until it was revealed, hey, he didn't die.
And it's comic books. That never sticks.
Never does, unless you're Jean Grey, and even that's unsticking now.
No, only death that's ever stuck is Uncle Ben.
Oh wait, maybe the new Rorschach is Uncle Ben.
The biggest crossover of the year you never seen coming.
That would people would lose their minds.
I think
there's the big reveal. There's the big reveal that is not Uncle Ben Parker. It's Uncle Ben from the Rice.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Oh.
And it's just a big
you just killed a lot of Spider-Man fans with that one.
I'm just saying that would be more practical for DC.
Jay saw the video with the Spider-Man in the shopping aisle and sees Uncle Ben's rice. And he falls to the floor crying. That was the best video. It was so sad but funny at the same time.
I think we've beat this subject to death. Can we move on, please?
Yeah, we can definitely move on. I'm going to skip around a little bit. Now, this one is another rumor. It's Bleeding Cool. So it's hard to tell what's going on here, but the title says Jeff Johns, DC president, no longer reports to DC. Now, this is hugely speculatory. I just want to put that out there. This was about a week ago that this was posted. And it's basically pulled from a private Facebook page of president of DC Entertainment, Diane Nelson, which I don't think you can access publicly. It really is private. You have to be her friend or something. I don't know what. I tried to find it and I couldn't find it. And she's talking about, I've lost in business my best friend, my reality touchstone, my partner, and positive reinforcement behind hard or controversial ideas, and it goes on from there. And the speculation is that she's talking about Jeff Johns, who it's rumored that he is going to be similar to Kevin Feige at Marvel Disney. He's going to be stepping completely away from DC and moving more into the Warner Brothers film side of it, which, that's his background in the beginning anyway. So, I don't know if this whole Doomsday Clock thing was his swan song for the comics for a while.
I don't think so, because remember, he's supposed to be behind, quote unquote, him, Dan Didio, and Jim Lee are supposed to be behind what Rebirth is leading up to.
Yeah. What this is, Brent, is that right now, as it stands, the DC films answered to DC Comics. They talk to them and they would talk to them. Just like Marvel films was talking to the Marvel Comics. And then at a certain point, they were like, you know what? The comics don't need to dictate what you do in the movies. So they cut that line off to where they can do what they want with they don't have to say, can we kill Superman in this movie? Is it okay to do that? Or you guys need to do this in your story? No. So now he's going to answer to the president of Warner Brothers. So they tell him what to do in the movies, not DC Comics. So
I think that's what she means.
That's what the thing is supposed to be about.
Yeah, think of it this way. When with Marvel, Kevin Feige is in charge of Marvel films, and Jeff Leb is in charge of Marvel TV. Television, because they report to Disney. It's a different creative thing, so they don't have to deal with Ike Perlmutter, which is why with Marvel films you get really good stuff, and with Marvel Television you're now getting Inhumans and Iron Fist and the crappy show running of Scott Buck.
I like Iron Fist.
I did too.
I liked Iron Fist as well.
But
it's better than
well taken.
I just think go ahead, Brent. You first.
I was just going to say there's an update at the bottom of the article. It said DC declined to comment on Nelson's statement directly, but told me, quote, Jeff is not moving over to theatrical or any other WB division at this time. He will continue to work across all divisions as he has been, and not exclusively for one division.
That was there when I read it too.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be what he does for the movies is going to answer to the movie section.
Right.
What he does with the comics is going to answer to the comic.
Right. And I think what they were highlighting with that is at this time, but to be honest, you can say that about anyone. You can say, yeah,
you never want to say he would never do it. Right. You never say he'll never do it, because then if anything happens, you're like, oh, well, you lied to us.
That's like Dan Slott is writing Amazing Spider-Man.
It's legal 101. You never say never to something, because then someone's going to say you lied to us. So what you say is anytime in the near future, at present time, nothing is in the works to do this. Or allegedly, you'll say allegedly. This way you release yourself of any commitment to a statement.
Mm-hmm. And also, let's remember, this was published by Bleeding Cool.
Yeah.
The National Enquirer of comic books.
I'd call them the TMZ of comic books.
Yep, the TMZ. I could go with that too.
No, actually, they're more like an inside edition of comic books.
I'm surprised they don't have a magazine next to the Enquirer in the supermarkets.
They actually do, but go ahead.
I just don't see them posting stories that Jeff Johns is like a bat boy or something, So it's not the National Enquirer. I was associating more with TMZ. Unless they say Kevin Feige is a vampire at night, then
that's true. Yeah.
Then I would say
they have a lot of weird stuff in the Enquirer. I've seen the covers. That is true. TMZ would.
Jeff Johns and Diane Nelson's mutant baby. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh God.
Anyway, moving on to another DC topic. Tom King teased in a tweet an upcoming story for Batman issue number 37 that Batman and Catwoman teaming up with Superman and Lois Lane. Even though the article says Wonder Woman, it meant Lois Lane. The actual tweet said the Bat, the Cat, the Reporter, and the Farm Boy coming up in Batman 37.
Yeah, that's more than a tease. That's basically saying, hey, these four people, exactly. Batman 37, it's happening. Yeah. I'm excited.
I'm excited too, because it's the first time that since they got engaged, Batman and Catwoman. Spoiler alert.
Oh, it's okay for that. Yeah.
No, because it's been a couple of weeks.
Ash Cat has only been a couple of weeks too.
What?
The what do you call it? The preview pages for.
Yeah, but you said spoiler
for the whole thing. For my entire statement, it was a spoiler alert.
Yes, but the spoiler was also including that he died in Watchmen, and that's 30 years old.
Okay, so it was a half spoiler alert. You just put alert in it instead of spoiler. There you go.
Anyway, I'm just excited to see this team up. I don't know about you guys.
It would be interesting, because if Catwoman finds out that Superman is Clark Kent, there's no going back.
Right. They're going to get married, and that's that.
Yeah,
it's going to become a couple.
Yeah, that would be like the point where she can't go back to being the villain, because then you're compromising. Bruce would be compromising not just his identity, but that of
Lois.
Superman's.
And also be compromising Lois.
Well, Lois is a public figure, so, she doesn't have a secret identity. Superman's the one who would be compromised.
True. But, he's compromising his whole family.
Yeah, exactly. He compromised. Well, yeah, you compromise Superman, you compromise everyone. But I'm saying, if they do that, she can't go back to being, the Catwoman everyone knows, unless they're going to kill her off in
and bring in the other Catwoman,
and bring back another version of Catwoman when they redo with the rebirth stuff, So that I can see happening.
I just see
him getting that happy
moment
happening. Just imagine him getting that happy moment. Batman finally being happy, and then it being taken away from him. It happened in the Silver Age.
Yep.
He was married to Catwoman. He had a kid and everything, and then all of a sudden, she's dead. They never been together. Reboot. So it could happen. The president is there, but
I'm just thinking about the Adam West Batman movie where Catwoman dies, and then just out of nowhere, in another elevator, enters new Catwoman.
I would hate that.
Oh, I would absolutely hate that. I'm sorry. That would just annoy me.
Yeah.
Well, it looks interesting. The only question I have about this crossover is, Does Poison X somehow get involved?
I hope not.
Because I'd love to see like a Superman, Batman, Catwoman, Lois Lane, Venom, X-Men crossover. That's just me.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
the dream.
Just wonderful.
How could you not want that? Right?
I'm glad DC and Marvel don't really cross over anymore.
JLA Avengers was pretty good.
That was amazing. I liked that series, but after that, I mean, that's when things started to. I don't know. They started going their separate ways, I guess, because you see more competition. Yeah, you see more competition between them now than actual. Hey, let's do a crossover. And DC's crossing over with everybody, while Marvel's still in Marvel.
Yeah, that's Marvel. All right, so interesting topic about Paul Dini. Speaking of the Batman universe, obviously a big name there. He's going to Kickstarter with a new project, which I thought was really interesting that a creator of that caliber is turning to Kickstarter for a new book, and it's called Boo and Hiss, and the art is done by an artist that worked on Animaniacs and Looney Tunes, Dave Alvarez, and obviously Paul Dini has a history with that kind of television as well, Tiny Toons and of course Batman the Animated Series. I don't know about you guys, but I think it looks cool. It's cute. It's right in that vein, and I think it's interesting that he's turning to Kickstarter. That it's become that kind of platform.
I think it's great. I saw the Kickstarter. I like it. I thought at first when I saw Boo Hiss, I wasn't expecting what I saw when everything loaded up, but it looks like I think it's a great idea. I mean, every show you mentioned that Paul Dini did, I've watched, and I've loved Animaniacs, Tiny Toons, something I grew up with, Batman the Animated Series. Who hasn't watched almost every single episode of Batman the Animated Series?
Almost.
Hey, I gotta be nice to the people who haven't. I've watched every single one at least 3 or 4 times over. I'm still trying to collect the DVD series of it.
Yeah. I don't know. Are you guys surprised that a creator of that caliber is going to Kickstarter, or no? Or
no.
Just like
no. Look at how Kickstarter has been. I mean, you have people who are known in the comic industry. Like, for example, you got Section Zero, which is something I backed, and that's by Carl Kelsel and Tom Dummett. These were, huh?
I said that's true.
So you've got tons of different people. It doesn't surprise me anymore. I mean, you've got big name people with their own projects that they're like, hey, I want to try to do this. Tell me if it's worth funding or not, And then the fans go for it or not.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is you've got an industry that really kind of tends to squeeze out like either older creators or creators who've been around a while because they're looking for the fresh, young, new, exciting, hip. So this is a way to kind of see, hey, I've got this quirky little project. I'm not sure I could sell it to another publisher, but let's see if there's enough interest to warrant moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's a good point. But also, with Tom DeFalco and all that, he doesn't have the clout that Paul Dini still has, like, right now. I think he has a lot more clout to where he could have went to another company and been like, I want to publish this, because Paul Dini still has a name. He still has that name. And I think he could have won it, but it's interesting that he did go to the Kickstarter route. And it brings up the whole debate on who should go to Kickstarter and who's not allowed to go to Kickstarter. Because Archie Comics last year had a big controversy where they had a Kickstarter and then they had to pull it, because people were like, you can't do a Kickstarter, you're Archie Comics, you're not allowed, you're too big. So it's like, who is allowed and who is not allowed? It's really deemed by what people, sorry.
No, I completely agree with that. I know there was some backlash when they did the Veronica Mars movie for the same reason. It's like, why did these movie stars get to do it? And once you hear their story and realize why they, because they couldn't get the studio backing. There's reasons they were passionate about the project, and
that was like the first big Kickstarter too. I think that's kicked off the Kickstarter really.
Yeah. So, No, I agree with you guys. It's and more power to him. I mean, he co-created Harley Quinn, so it's he's got that going for him.
I think it's important, especially that you have bigger names on Kickstarter, because for people who don't know about Kickstarter, right? But they're fans of these big name people. They're going to find out and discover Kickstarter, and that's what makes lesser known people, lower than Paul Dini. People be like, oh, this is an interesting website. Let me do some searches. And then out of nowhere, they say, oh, this project looks interesting. That project looks interesting. They don't know who the creators of the project are. They like the project. So it gets lesser known people a chance. It brings more of an audience to Kickstarter for other people to have a chance.
I would say if there was a couple years ago, yeah. But after the Veronica Mars movie, I think everybody knows what Kickstarter is now. Or at least they know what crowdfunding
But Veronica Mars did that. I'm saying it takes big names to bring people in and go, oh, there's a website called Kickstarter, and I can back people who have projects and passions about their projects, like the last Ember issue #1, still on now. We can go back. Anyway, but yeah, you've got people who are very passionate about their books, their movies, whatever, and now you've got an audience of people going, let's see what else I'll like,
Yeah. No, that's a good point. You go searching for that. You go to that page, and you're like, well, I'm here, I'll check out this other stuff, and I think that's what a lot of Kickstarter backers do.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, there's a recommended page. When you back somebody, they'll say, since you back this person, you might be interested in these as well. Yeah. And you can be like 5 or 6. So yeah, exactly.
But now this is not how I feel, but there are people who do have this argument to where it says, okay, but someone with a big name does the Kickstarter, that takes away from someone who is a lower name, a lesser known name, who is not getting that Kickstarter money. Like, say if two people have comic books, you're debating on where you put your money. You put your money in the Paul Dini spot, then someone who is a lower known creator.
Then they do their Kickstarter again. You can do your Kickstarter again.
The thing is, Kickstarter is not a finite resource, though.
Oh, I know.
And it's not. I mean, I get your point. Where one person, okay, I've only got this much money, who do I back? I get that aspect of it, but for every person that backs this, there's going to be people that are going to back.
Oh no, I'm saying, I'm just saying that's the argument that I heard, because that was the argument with the Archie thing, where people were like, well, if people back the Archie comic book, then they're not going to back any other book because they back that big name book, so they're taking away from the lower the real indie creators who want to get this out there. So that's why I brought that up.
And what people tend to forget when they make that argument, Kickstarter's a platform. It allows people to pick and choose the projects they want to fund. For example, one of my friends is a 2-time Hugo Award-winning editor of a semi-pro zine. Hi, Mishi, who runs she works for a magazine called Uncanny. They do science fiction and fantasy. They do a lot of work with writers of color and other LGBTQIA writers.
I was just going to say he got mixed up with the alphabet.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
He's like, I can't keep up with all these letters that they keep throwing at me.
But
it's going to be numbers too.
Every year, they run a Kickstarter to fund the magazine. Without the platform, they would have a harder time doing it because it is such a unique niche. And I think what people tend to think of is, it's not like Kickstarter says, okay, we've got 10,000 projects, we're only going to sponsor 2. If you meet Kickstarter's requirements, they will allow you to use their platform. It is up to you as the person using the platform to use it within their rules. And Kickstarter's rule is, if you don't hit your goal, you get nothing.
Right.
And so what Kickstarter allows people to do is it allows them to find the kind of projects that they would want to fund. So it's not like Archie Comics is going to take, okay, somebody needs to sober up. Okay, one of you guys needs to go take
That's probably my bed.
Yeah, that was...
I was wondering.
That was my bed, sorry. I don't think I can go this long. I mean, if you'd like me to keep going, I could.
It's like, you ever watch those movies where, like the comedy movies where someone's walking on the floor and the floors are creaking and they think going slow is going to make it not creak more, and he's just like creaking it slower and slower.
Yeah.
I've actually done that.
It's like he just thinks like if you move slower, the bed's not going to make any noise. He's like,
it's like
you're wrong, Chris. Continue, Gordon.
And so Kickstarter allows you, as long as you follow Kickstarter's rules, Kickstarter allows you to find the projects you want to fund and allows for more niche projects. So it's not like Archie Comics versus everyone else. It's if people find value in Archie Comics, they can fund that. If they find value in Uncanny, they can fund that. And projects that have value and that can provide a perceived value will.
Oh yeah, I agree.
You know, that they.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay, so it's.
What was that? Sounds like a printer.
It does sound like a printer. What is that?
Not me. That's not on my end.
Sounds like someone's having a printer. But I was just saying, you know, because again, with the Archie comic book Kickstarter that got pulled, that's what people were complaining about. So that's why I brought that up, just to have that voice be heard on it. And I said it's not something I believe in, because I just back whoever I want to read or whoever I believe in. That's who I back on Kickstarter. So
yeah.
I don't care who's doing it. If it's a book that I like and I can afford it, and it's a reasonable Kickstarter, because there are some Kickstarters where you got to have $800 to get something.
Well, Jay, let me give you advice. Don't follow Brant. He's cost me more money on Kickstarter than any friend that I have followed on Kickstarter.
I just go by whatever I personally
like. Yes, he's funded things that I personally liked.
I'm saying, but I don't look at anything unless I want to look at it too. Because if you keep looking at things, yes, you can. It's called self-control, man.
Okay, so when are you dropping that first series you don't like? When are you going to start dropping a certain series you don't like?
Hey, I'm not making it about me.
Self-control. It falls under the same category.
I'm having self-control to keep buying the things I want to buy.
Wow, you see how he reversed that? I see how you did that.
But I'm not blaming it on Brant. See, that's the thing. You blamed it on someone else.
Oh, no,
I blame it on myself.
So it is a very good friend. He shares with me projects that he thinks I would like. So
God, I need a drink.
There's a difference. I'm taking the blame for myself. You're putting the blame on someone else.
Oh, I'm taking the blame.
You need self-control.
I don't need nothing. You do not have self-control.
I control myself to buy everything.
Yeah, exactly. Point taken.
I am really sorry about this, Brant. I don't know what I did, but
I don't know what you did either. But
I love how Gordon's taking the blame for what Jay did, but okay.
I know, right?
What you did?
I did not do anything. I have as much self-control as you do, is what I'm saying.
But I didn't blame Brant.
Brant brings things to light for me. That's all Brant does.
I didn't take the wallet out of your pocket.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. It wasn't my wallet, though, so we're fine.
Oh, boy.
Michael is the one that backs on Kickstarter, so I'm fine.
I was just saying.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
It's been real.
Let's move on. We won't get one more story. Okay,
My money's safe.
Avengers Infinity War will feature a lot of unexpected characters. This is a quote from Joe Russo, co-director. There's going to be a lot of unexpected characters. There are more surprises packed into this film than any of the others. And he goes on to talk about more about the film. But I thought that was really interesting, especially because, we don't have it confirmed who all is going to be in this movie as far as tertiary characters, I guess you'd say. We know, obviously. Yeah, Uncle Ben. Yes, Uncle Ben is coming back.
Oh my god!
They're gonna introduce the Skrulls here, and Uncle Ben's gonna be a Skrull. That's the one that died was a Skrull, and the real Uncle Ben has been trapped on the Skrull homeworld. That's the plot of the movie.
You're giving Marvel ideas. Stop it.
That'll be the next big Marvel Comics crossover.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Uncle Ben.
The Ben
Uncle
Files.
Ben the Skrull.
Ben of tomorrow.
Oh my god.
So no, I think it's cool. I'm really I know it's not going to happen, so don't shoot it down for me. But I know it's not going to happen. But I would really, really, really love to see some of the Netflix characters in there. It's not going to happen.
I'd like to see Stan Lee in it.
Well, Stan Lee will definitely be in it.
Some of the Netflix heroes.
Okay.
That is not going to happen.
I would have loved that, though. It would have been so cool to see the Defenders, even if it was just a guest appearance or like a spotlight.
If any of them, I can see Daredevil.
Yeah.
That would be the main one that I think that they would put in. If they choose anyone to make the crossover, I think it would be Daredevil because that is their biggest franchise right now. And he's just like the more well-known character out of all of them. So.
In Infinity War, I would love to see the Hulk take Danny Rand from Iron Fist and smash him around like he did Loki in the first Avengers movie. That would be fun.
Oh, Gordon.
I would like to see the Black Spider-Man costume make a little appearance in it.
Really?
Well, they are doing the Iron Spider costume.
They are.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't think they'll do the black. What?
Nothing. Let's go on.
No, I was just saying I don't think they're going to do the Black Spider-Man costume just because they're already doing the
Venom movie, right? So that will kind of take it off the table, right? It would take it off.
Yeah, and Marvel's like, yeah, you can say that that's part of the Spider-Man universe, but we're not saying that our Spider-Man's a part of the Venom universe. Like that's Marvel's official statement. That Spider-Man's in that universe, but Venom is not in our universe.
So basically, Venom's at what do you call it? The Max series kind of deal. Happens but doesn't.
He's just not part of their universe. That's because Sony went and said, that they're in the same universe, and then Marvel sat down with them, and then Sony released another statement saying, well, Venom is in Spider-Man's universe. Spider-Man's in Venom's universe, but Venom is not in Spider-Man's universe.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's just because Marvel's like, we're not touching any of your movies.
I don't blame them. Have you watched any of this?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I think Marvel's saying that Venom is in the Watchmen universe, but
spoiler alert.
And Uncle Ben is in
everything.
Uncle Ben is in the Upside Down and Stranger Things.
He's in the Arrowverse.
Uncle Ben created the Upside Down.
Yeah, there you go. That's what happened. He's the Demogorgon.
Oh boy.
The only one that they've officially said, and again, this is Marvel, so they could go back on it. They've officially said will not be in the movie is Captain Marvel, because they said don't expect her to appear anywhere before her movie. So that was the only one that's officially, again, said by Marvel that won't be in it. So I don't know who I would want in there. It would definitely be some because they said something about Yondu's coming in there for it. But this is supposed to take place because Volume 2 happened before this happened. So I don't know how that's going to happen because spoiler alerts for that. He kind of bites the bullet there. So
unless it's a different one, dude.
Yeah. Well, it's supposed to be the same one because the same actor's playing him. So.
Oh yeah. I don't know.
Actually, I think they may be bringing back J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson.
That would be cool.
Or I'm making this totally up now. I think they may be rehiring the cast from that Fantastic Four reboot from a couple of years ago. You know, Miles Teller and those dudes.
No.
If they ever did that, I would kill you.
It would be over.
Here's what they could do. Since they never got their own show, they'd bring Mockingbird and Hunter from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
She'll hop on the Orville and take a ride over. She'll be like, her and her crew will come over and say, we're here to help save the day. Seth MacFarlane will be cursing up a storm. The two guys will be talking about Rocket Raccoon scratching himself.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, they'll be hugging the donkey.
Oh, well, we'll just have to wait and see. But until then, I think it's time for some Facebook shout-outs.
Thank God.
So, Gordon, take us away.
Okay, well, we've got quite a few Facebook shout-outs. Luckily, two of them were in French, and they were. I was too lazy to use Google Translate, so there you go. Our first shout-out is a gentleman by the name of Reggie Montanola, and he does a lot of work with motion capture and computer animation. And looking at his page, there's some really cool samples of stuff. So when you get the shout out and you get the link, go check out his page. So that is Reggie Montanola. Our next shout out is a gentleman by the name of Clay Ross, who is a friend of Victor Dandridge, who's a friend of the show. And throughout Clay's page, he has a lot of statements about positivity and getting rid of negativity and just doing cool stuff, which I definitely agree with. And then finally, you've got Jason Perdue, who lives in Lancaster, St. Carolina. He is Facebook friends with our own Chris and Chris's brother Mike.
Yep.
Please don't hold that against him. And Jason works at Walmart, so be sure if you go to Walmart near Lancaster, South Carolina, be nice to him. Maybe even give him a tip. Support his Kickstarter because he's a good guy. So there you go. Those are our Facebook shout-outs.
Yeah, awesome. Jacob's been a fan of Brooklyn Boys since we started, way back in early 2000.
Nice. Very cool. Well, welcome to all of you. And if you'd like to get a shout-out on the show, all you have to do is head over to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Zone4Podcast and hit the like button, and we will eventually give you a shout-out on the show. And Chris, or whoever, what in the world are you printing over there?
I'm not printing anything. I hear the same noise you do.
I was getting ready to type to you, Brett, if Lisa's printing some print or something.
But I'm hearing it in my ears, so that wouldn't.
I'm hearing it.
It sounds like a major printer, like not like a little printer. It sounds like a major printer. Yeah. Gordon, is it you?
I took my headset off. There's nothing in my background.
Is Gordon making fake money again?
Gordon.
He gave that up last week.
Oh, okay.
Until next week.
Well, he wants to buy those old Golden Age comic books. You got to get that money somehow.
That is true. That is very true.
I prefer good old-fashioned identity theft.
Okay.
I mean, all I can say is...
is that why you asked me for my Social Security number?
Yes.
All
I can say is there may be one or two former co-hosts of this very show who are looking at their Visa bill and going, "What the hell is going on?" I'll give you a hint. One of them is not John Wilson. I would never do that to John Wilson.
Right.
John, don't call me. I'm not implicit in this.
Don't call me either. I'm totally not getting paid from Gordon to say that I have no clue what he's talking about.
And even by you saying that, he's still not going to pay you.
I've accepted no bribe.
I have accepted 0 bribes.
Yep. And I can tell the audience that Chris has never asked if Bozo the Clown is at the $100 bill.
What? I couldn't understand because you were laughing too hard. What? Something about my clothes? You want my clothes?
Chris has never asked if Bozo the Clown is on the $100 bill.
I thought you wanted to buy my clothes. I was about to say, well, I mean...
Man, Bozo died. Come on.
Yeah, so if you get $100, so if you live in the New York area and you get $100 bill that has Bozo the Clown on it,
you probably got it from my brother.
Yes, you got it from Mike. That is Chris's brother.
I won't say what my brother's questioned lately. That was like, really? But, yeah, not on air, I won't. But he believe you.
Okay.
I should tell him.
And now I want to hear it.
Oh, man.
No, you don't. Not on air, Brant.
You got to type it to me.
Okay. I'll type it in the group.
All right. Well, I can't see the group. I don't know how.
Oh, really?
We'll read it to you. We'll read it to you post-show.
Okay, fine. Never. Okay, so anyway, on that note, it's topic time.
Topic time. It's topic time.
Oh, so our topic time this episode is what makes a comic independent, and this sprung out of a Facebook discussion that I saw taking place on independent comics, and actually partook in the conversation. And it was
Jason or anything.
Okay.
Go ahead. No. Go ahead. I'll Facebook you. I'll Facebook you if you're so inclined to know.
There was basically an argument that Image Comics and entities like that couldn't possibly be classified as indie, and I made the argument that no, not the publisher, but the books being published could be considered indie comics because those creators are independently owners of their properties. So anyway, I thought it would be an interesting discussion for us to talk about what makes a comic independent as I go to read my message.
Brant is going to come back so embarrassed.
Wow.
But anyway, for what makes a comic an indie, I think it's anything. It can't be easy to make too. It has to be something that is creator owned. That's why I consider indie.
But if they're exactly. That's what I'm.
Yeah, because even though Image is a bigger name, their books are still creator owned books. Right. It's not like Archie, which is an indie book, but is also all company owned. The creators do not own those books. Archie owns all the Archie books. So it's not like I can go and say, hey, I want to pitch my superhero idea to Archie Comics. They're going to be like, we're not that kind of indie. So that's why I leave it at.
Exactly. I completely agree with that. I think if you're working on a property owned by a publisher, or you're working on a licensed property like Ghostbusters, etc., that's obviously that's not indie. Even if it's the smallest, tiniest property you've never heard of, if it's a licensed property, it's not indie. Because, like you said, that's my distinction. If it's creator owned, and it's indie, and by definition, that means every comic put out by Image Comics is an indie.
Yeah, exactly. That I agree with. So that's where I draw the line for indie comic books. Even if you're one of the big, because I consider it like a big five, the comic books, because like there are some comic like Image and Dark Horse, they're big. They're not little, and even Archie is in it. So like those three I consider like part of the big five. But Image, it really does create their own book. So it's a company, it's a big company, but everyone does their own book. So it's not like it's all right. This is all owned by Image, and because if say Meredith Finch decides she wants to take her character and go to another company, she has the right to do that. She owns that book. She owns books, so she can go do that. But there's a little echo.
Yeah, I heard the echo too.
But if she does, when she does Xena, she cannot take Xena from, what is it, Dynamite, I think?
Dynamite, yeah.
Yeah, she cannot take Xena and say, you know what, I want to go to Image with this. No, it's not her property. So that's where I always draw the line when it comes to what it is an indie. It's if it's creator-owned, you are indie. If it's a property or a franchise or something like that, it's not creator owned. Like you don't have the rights to that character. You can't take that to another company. Then it's just not creator owned. It's not indie to me.
Yeah,
I agree. Go ahead.
I was going to agree.
Yeah, I would agree, but I would also add distribution, because a lot of the companies that we see in comic shops and a lot of companies rely solely on Diamond. And that, I think, makes a difference, because it's about shelf space. If you are putting out an indie book, to me, it's about not relying on the major distribution channel. It's really about, because it allows for you to have greater creative independence. It allows you for a greater ability to do the kind of stories that you want, and also not have to feel like you have to conform to a specific kind of distribution network. Whereas I think a lot of the companies that get called quote-unquote indie, like your Image, your Dynamite, everyone else, they're really reliant on either other properties or an influx of money and the ability to actually get shelf space because you're part of the Diamond distribution network. Chris, what the hell are you doing?
I hear like I just typed it like who's moving around or is using a phone or something, like something's got some major heavy duty stuff going on in their room or in their house or something.
I'm in a completely silent place.
I am completely innocent because I am sitting on a couch with my laptop open. So
I'm in my room with the door shut.
Yeah, I'm in my office with the door shut. There's no equipment in here except my computer.
Yeah, the most you can hear from my house right now is Jimmy Fallon. That's the most you're going to hear at my house.
I just heard a toilet flush at one
Thank you. Okay, so he heard it too. Okay, so you heard it too.
No, there's no one in my bedroom, so
somebody else is on the line. We just don't know.
Yeah, the only thing that you're going to hear from me is Jimmy Fallon, maybe, and the TV's down low. That's another room. So
I heard
unless you hear Jimmy Fallon right now, unless you hear Jimmy Fallon right now,
no.
Then that's all you're going to hear from my house is Jimmy Fallon.
Welcome to Zone 4, the sound effect episode where sound effects are randomly happening in the background and nobody knows.
It's the somebody overslept on Halloween episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Somebody.
So to your point, Gordon, I get what you're saying. I do agree with you on some level. At the same time, I think we could probably agree that there are different levels of indie then. Because like Jay said, I think if creator owned, unless we're making the distinction between creator owned and independent, which I guess you could make that argument that there's a difference between the two. But I think there's also a difference between indie and self-published. There's,
it's like indie and then underground indie,
It used to be, I think back in the day when it was the big two, it was DC and Marvel, and you had, just starting out, Image and Dynamite just starting out. You called them independent because they weren't part of Marvel or DC, so they were the beginning of independence, but then they got their own brand. It's like what Jay said, they have their own imprint now. If you make a comic, for example, Meredith Finch is Rose comic. That is her creation, but Image owns the book. She can't.
No, they don't.
No. If Meredith wants to take that book and go to Dynamite or go to Ember Press, she owns the rights to all her characters. Yes.
Wow.
She's going underneath the Image umbrella. Same thing with Savage Dragon and all that. Like they're
Spawn also. I know Tom McFarlane. He could up and leave if he wants and go somewhere
they're not
else.
owned by Image. Image has them underneath the umbrella. Like Robert Kirkman can leave tomorrow and go do his own company
because he has Skybound. He has his own imprint, right?
Well,
he has his own
imprint.
Even
if he didn't have Skybound as an imprint, he could take all his stuff and leave.
It's like
that's how Image works.
Think about it this way. Let me add to that, Jay. I did not mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right.
I just wanted to get this out before I start coughing again. Think about it this way, Chris. Both Mark Millar and Brian Bendis have had their books at both Marvel and Image. Powers and anything Miller's done.
Okay.
They can move them back and forth. When you submit a project to Image, you own that lock, stock, and barrel, no matter what. They just publish it and they put their marketing machine behind it, but they don't own it.
Okay, so Image owns 0 of their books. You're saying then? Okay, so Image would fall under an independent category only because it's
creator owned.
It's right. It's creator owned. But like Dynamite or like IDW has like the Hasbro.
There's like some kind of weird audio thing going on. We got the stranger. We've accessed the
internet.
No, we've accessed the upside down.
No, but I agree with what you were saying, Jay. It's anybody who owns their it's self-published work. But when you say Dynamite or Zenescope, for example, they are company-owned books. I thought Image owned the books. I didn't even know that they were all, I knew about Kirkman. I knew about McFarlane. I didn't know about like Rose or Paper Girls and stuff like that. I thought it was all owned by Image.
Yeah, and then there's degrees of separation because even though Zenescope owns all their books, it's still, I consider them an indie company because the people who do it is a smaller, it's not like a DC level, or even an Archie level, So yes, they are indie, but I think that there's different degrees of indie. Like if you're not the big two, you're automatically considered an indie book. But I think a true indie for me is a creator owned. That's for me, I think is a true indie. And then there's indie below that, and like right now I would say a real indie is like a Last Ember Press where they're doing their own books, they're doing their own publishing, everything all on there. Then you have the second tier of indie, which is like Image Comics, where it's creator owned, but you have a bigger company marketing it and all that. And then you have like the third tier of which is something like Zenescope and Archie, where they own all their stuff and but they still do it themselves. So that's how I see it. I see like 3 different tiers, like self-published, like Last Ember Press, then creator owned like Image, and then Zenescope, where it's like owned properties, but still not a big two.
And we could probably, like, if you wanted to get like all technical and everything, you could probably break it down between small press and but anyway, I think we could debate this forever. Like what classifies an indie comic, and everybody's made great points except Chris, who kept walking away with his mic open. But
I walked away once. Don't even. The toilet flushing was on your side.
He's in an office. Yeah. Dude. How does he have a toilet?
It sounded like an office toilet bowl. Wait.
We got it. I had to access. What does an office toilet bowl sound like?
Sounds like the
and
one
how did you know how it sounds?
I've been in offices and I've heard their toilet bowls.
Yeah, but how much time have you invested in that?
Nothing. I just know that they sound different than home toilet bowls.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to apologize on behalf of Brant and every other Zone 4 host right now. We have hit rock bottom.
I mean, come on.
We are
I guarantee people who are listening want to know that. They want to know how you can tell the difference.
It's easy. Go to a public restroom and then go into your own restroom. You know the difference.
Jay, I think there are 3 tiers.
And to our audience, if you would like to ask us stupid questions that we can answer, email us at zone4podcast@gmail.com.
Yes.
And Chris will answer all of them.
No, Jay, you go right ahead and you can fill that one.
Flush. There's the at home, and then there's the office that are apparently louder, according to Chris.
And ladies and gentlemen, I listeners, please remember, I started this podcast by saying Microsoft is run by bastards.
You should have known what kind of show you were in store for. Is what he's saying. Oh man.
Oh, Microsoft. All right, so
I would love to hear our listeners' viewpoint on what makes an indie comic as well.
Yeah,
which I'm sure they will disagree with some of us, but it'll be interesting anyway. I think it's time to talk about what's coming out, and going on before we all lose our minds. So,
or toilet bowls.
Then we should have done that before we even started this podcast.
Yeah, you're right.
Lose our toilet bowls?
No, our minds, Chris.
Oh, okay. Well, mine's been gone for a while.
His dilapidated shed.
Okay,
not the website. Okay.
Okay. Brant, did you want me to start? Let me see.
That's Gordon's very subtle way of saying, "Get me the hell out of this place."
Let me see if I can bring a little bit of dignity to what is going to be a very interesting podcast.
Dignity.
What I've got going on is, well, I'm currently working on the Chicago TARDIS charity auction. And so it's basically we're pulling together items for donation for we're going to auction them off and raise money for Northern Illinois Food Bank. And Chicago TARDIS will be Thanksgiving weekend. So if you're interested in donating an item, feel free to drop me an email at auction@chicagotardis.com. I would also like to spend a little of my time promoting a friend's efforts for charity. A friend of mine is a local musician, singer-songwriter, and she is put together a music compilation of local artists. So everything from blues to indie rock to jazz to benefit Puerto Rican disaster relief in the wake of Hurricane Maria. If you're interested in purchasing the album, and no, I will not let you drown me out with your furniture moving. I would like to apologize to my friend because I'm trying to give this the gravitas that it deserves. Please, you can order it via artistsagainst.hate.org or artistsagainst.hate.bandcamp.org. Thank you. Excuse me. I apologize, but thank you.
Sorry, Gordon. I don't know what that was in the background. I apologize for that. But, that great cause. Absolutely. So thanks for sharing that. Okay, Chris.
Okay, so right now I have a few things going on. There's going to be something special today, because it's going up on Friday, today on What the Card. So keep an eye out around 8 o'clock p.m. And then over on Frontline, we're going to be doing Dark Avenger live. We're going to have Brant on. We've had a really fun time having Brant the past 2 weeks. Not last week, the 2 weeks before that. Talking about The Last Ember. We've been having a good time. I'm not going to promote the Kickstarter. I'm sure Brant's going to talk about that. But we had a great time talking about the Kickstarter. I know Brant didn't see last week's episode yet, but we did talk a bit about the Kickstarter and about Brant's passion when it comes to writing and comics. I don't want to spoil it because I don't know. Did you see the live show yet, Brant?
No, I haven't.
I don't want to spoil it. So when Brant sees it, we talked about the Kickstarter nonetheless, and we've had a lot of fun talking about it. We showed a couple of people that didn't know it was going on that it was going on. So we had a blast doing that. This weekend is going to be my Getting Better weekend, so I don't really have much going on this weekend. We are still working on Celestial Falcon issue number 2. There's going to be some stuff going on with 529 Studio in the coming month or so. A little bit further, I would go a little bit more than a month. And just a couple of other things here, there, and everywhere from myself. I'm just letting the year play out. 2018 is going to be a huge year. Let me just put it that way. And that's all I got going on right now.
Okay. Jay, are you back?
Just the usual stuff for me. Reviews.
I'm done. Go ahead.
Reviews of Comic Frontline. Reviews on the Marvel Report. I will have a Q&J, I think, next week. It's either next week or the week after that. It will be on Wednesday because we're not doing Immediate Madness. And speaking of Immediate Madness, Tony, the Black Critic guy, was on last night's Immediate Madness, and he was drunk, so that was really fun. We talked about Stranger Things too, so that was a really fun time. And check out, you want to hear a lot of craziness, check out Frontline Live this week, because we had me, Brett, and Kat where we were just insane. It made this show seem very tame.
And there were toilet bowls in this show, so that tells you something.
My cheeks were hurting the next day from Frontline Live, but it was. Go check that out, and Brant would promote the other thing. So yeah, that's about it for me.
Brad's promoting all the stuff me and Jay want to talk about.
Well, I'm only a little part of that, so.
I'm a very little part of that. It's not even no part at all. I just really love the project.
All right, so for me, obviously, I'll get to what you guys are talking about. First, I'll have a review going up on Comic Frontline for Spider-Man this weekend, probably sometime, maybe tomorrow, maybe today. I mean, we'll see when I get it done. It'll at least be this weekend, and new episode of Monday Musings on my channel each and every Monday. Check that out. But the important thing is The Last Ember #1 is on Kickstarter. It has 14 days left, and at this time we are about at 44-45% funded. So yay. It's been really great. We've got over 90 backers, and it's been tremendous this week. We had a big influx this week, so I'm very grateful, very thankful for the support we're getting on that. But still got 2 weeks to go and still got a long way to go, so please go check that out. There'll be a link below where you can just search for The Last Ember #1 on Kickstarter. And so that's it.
I would just like to point out, if they can't find it, just type in The Last Ember #1. It's the only project on Kickstarter right now that is titled The Last Ember.
Yeah, I literally just said that, but thank you for
I'm sorry, I was typing when you said that.
Chris's new name is Captain Obvious.
Da, 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 da.
I demand money then from all my commercials. And a very bad copy of myself.
All right, so that's pretty much it for me. That's the main thing I'm focusing on right now. So please go check that out.
Yes. That's why I said I'm going to let you say it.
Yeah. The Q&A. We are doing a Q&A on Comic Frontline next Thursday, which is November
9th.
9th, yes. November 9th. What time are we doing that, Jay?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock, 10 p.m. Eastern
I should have just said it.
Yeah,
I know.
I was just going to say that.
10 p.m. Eastern Time next Thursday, November 9th, on the Comic Frontline's YouTube channel. We're doing a live Q&A about The Last Ember #1. So if you want to learn more about the book, tune in then. We'll be answering all your questions. And I actually put it in our Around the Fire emailing this week, that if you have any questions, you can send them directly to our email, news@lastemberpress.com, and we will try to ask all those on the show as well. So there you go. All right, so who's supposed to read us out? Jay, read us out.
We'd like to thank the official bands of the Zone 4, the Ray Wall Band and Society's Plague, that you hear on the show each and every episode. We are also proud members of Comics Podcast Network. Hopefully.
I don't know about it after this episode.
You can find us on comicspodcast.com, Comic Frontline, Stitcher, iTunes, and of course, right here on zone4podcast.com. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions for us, send those to zone4podcast@gmail.com. And as always, thanks for listening. You are now leaving Zone 4.
Bye, everybody. Don't get lost in the upside down. But if you do, say hi to Uncle.
Bye, everyone. Remember, Microsoft is run by bastards.
And Mac is run by the devil.
Mac is going to swallow your soul.
This is only a test for the X-Men.
This has been a Gonzo Goose production.